Welcome to the deep dive. All right, let's jump straight into the material you've shared with us.
Yeah, these readings on the habits of, well, successful people.
Exactly. Lots of insights here.
That's right. And our mission, really, in this deep dive is to sift through all that, pull out the main stuff.
Get to the practical keys.
Yeah, exactly. Help you cut through the noise a bit,
Okay. So what the material you gave us lays out, it's basically 5 core habits.
Foundational ones, it seems.
Right. And it frames them not just for financial success.
No, it's broader. More about a fulfilling, sustainable life.
Which is interesting. So we've got these excerpts from articles, writings, ready to go.
Okay, let's unpack this first one then.
All right. Habit 1. The material really emphasizes possessing clear goals and staying focused.
Uh-huh. And it's pretty specific about that clarity.
Yeah.
It's not just, I want to be successful.
No.
No. The sources really stress defining goals meticulously. They even mention frameworks. SMART,
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Smart, specific, measurable.
Achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Yeah.
That level of detail, the sources argue, it gives you direction, gives you momentum.
And that connects to the focus part, doesn't it? Saying no.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The flip side of knowing what you want is knowing what to ignore.
Right. Saying no to distractions, prioritizing the tasks that actually, push you towards those goals.
And the application tips are quite direct, like actually write down those SMART goals.
Physically write them.
Seems so. And visualize success, not just daydreaming, but actively using it for inspiration.
Okay.
Plus, actively identifying and managing the things that pull you off track.
Like using tools, Pomodoro maybe?
Yeah, Pomodoro, time blocking, stuff like that. It's about structuring your effort, not just wishing.
The example they used, Jeff Bezos, that really stuck with me from the reading.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, his early goal for Amazon, it wasn't vague at all. It was the world's largest online bookstore. Super specific.
Right, crystal clear.
And the source highlights his relentless focus on that, even when things got tough, like the .com bust.
Mm-hmm.
Then later, yeah, it expanded to the everything store, but that initial laser focus was key, according to the material.
That's a powerful example. Really shows starting sharp and staying locked on.
Okay, so moving on. The second habit from the readings, it's about taking consistent action and persistence.
Yeah, this one's crucial. The idea that, ideas are great, but action, that's the engine.
Totally.
And the sources bring up this principle, progress over perfection.
Ah, I liked that. Don't wait for perfect, just start.
Exactly. Start where you are, take a step, keep going. And importantly, be resilient.
Learn from mistakes.
Learn from them, yeah. See
Yeah.
them as feedback, Refine your approach, don't just quit. Keep pushing.
And that steady effort, even if it's messy sometimes, that's
Yeah.
what builds momentum, right? The material called it the real driving force.
That's the idea. It builds over time.
Mm.
And for applying it, the advice is things like establish a daily routine for the important stuff.
Makes sense.
Break big, scary tasks down into smaller chunks.
Manageable steps.
Right. And actively reframe failure. See it as, well, tuition. Learning.
And maybe get an accountability partner.
That's in there too. Someone to help keep you on track.
The Elon Musk example comes up here in the
Right.
readings.
Oh, yes. SpaceX, Tesla.
Yeah, his whole career path is shown as a case study in this. Consistent action, crazy persistence.
Definitely persistence.
The readings point to specific things like the early SpaceX rockets blowing up, or the Tesla production hell.
Huge challenges, very public.
But he just kept going, didn't he? Doubled down, pushed through. That's the picture the material paints.
It really hammers home that setbacks are, well, expected, part of the process.
Okay, habit number 3. This one's about continuous learning, self-improvement.
Mm-hmm. And the sources argue this is just essential today, not really optional.
Because things change so fast.
Pretty much the readings frame it nicely. Successful people are basically learners for life.
Constantly curious.
Exactly. Actively seeking knowledge. Reading, podcasts, workshops, mentors, whatever works.
Okay.
To enhance their skills, adapt. And this is key. They see challenges, even failures, as teachers.
Right. Not just setbacks, but learning opportunities. So how does the material suggest someone listening could, actually do this?
Well, it's practical stuff. Like set aside actual time for learning regularly.
Schedule it in.
Yeah, reading, podcasts, courses, whatever fits. Also, actively seek out expert advice. Don't be afraid to ask.
And be open to feedback, even tough feedback.
Especially tough feedback. See it as fuel for growth.
Yeah.
And finally, Experiment. Try new things. Step outside the comfort zone.
The example used here is Bill Gates.
Ah, the reading habit.
Yeah, exactly. His famous reading habit, like dozens of books a year, all sorts of topics.
Wow.
It's presented as fundamental, not just a hobby, but key to understanding the world, driving innovation, both at Microsoft and with his foundation work.
It really shows that learning isn't just for the beginning. It's for staying sharp, staying relevant.
Okay, fourth habit, the readings highlight, effective time management and prioritization.
Right, time. The material calls it maybe our most valuable and limited resource.
Which feels true.
And the core insight seems to be that successful people are super deliberate about how they spend it.
They're not just busy for the sake of being busy.
No, they focus on the high-value stuff, activities that actually move them towards their goals.
Right.
Working smarter, essentially.
Smarter, not harder.
Got it.
And the sources list specific techniques they use, right?
They do. Things like, well, to-do lists, obviously, but also more structured things.
Like the Eisenhower matrix, urgent, important.
Exactly that. Sorting tasks to decide what to do, delegate, delay, or just delete.
Okay.
Time blocking comes up too, carving out chunks of time for deep work.
Mm-hmm.
And the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule.
Right, the idea that 20% of the effort gives 80% of the results.
Yeah, so identifying that crucial 20%.
So how do you apply this, according to the reading?
The advice is pretty clear. Plan ahead. Day, week, month. Use something like that Eisenhower matrix to prioritize consciously.
Be deliberate.
Very. Use time blocking for your key tasks, the ones needing real focus, and try to avoid multitasking.
Oh, interesting. Focus on one thing.
Yeah, tackle one thing properly before jumping to the next. Seems to be the suggestion for better effectiveness.
And the example for this one, Warren Buffett.
Ah, fitting. His time management is legendary.
Totally. The source mentions how he spends so much of his time just reading and thinking.
Deliberately avoiding distractions.
Right. Minimizing meetings he doesn't need to be in. And there's that famous advice quoted in the
A
reading.
list of 25 things.
Yeah, list 25 things you want to do, pick the top 5, and then actively avoid the other 20.
Ruthless prioritization. Labeling the rest as distractions.
Wow. Okay, that's a powerful image.
It really is.
And that brings us to the fifth and final habit from the material, building and maintaining strong relationships.
Mm-hmm. This one feels really important. The core idea is that success, it rarely happens alone.
It's not an isolated thing.
Not sustainable success, anyway. The sources emphasize prioritizing genuine connections. Colleagues, clients, mentors, family, friends.
Your whole network.
Right. Because that network isn't just, like, transactional. It's a source of inspiration, support when things get tough, opportunities, different perspectives.
And the readings talk about specific skills for this, don't they?
They do. Building trust.
Yeah.
Being a good listener, like really listening.
Showing empathy.
Yeah, empathy.
Yeah.
And being willing to help others generously.
Yeah.
Without immediately thinking, what's in it for me?
Give first.
Sort of a give before you get mentality. Fostering real connections. The material links this to sustainable and happy success.
So practically, what are the tips here?
Well, things like network actively, but focus on rapport, not just collecting contacts.
Be genuine.
Exactly. Practice that give before you get. Consciously work on being a better listener, pay attention, show you understand.
Express gratitude.
It's definitely. Express gratitude often. And just, maintain contact. Check in with people.
The example the source uses here is Oprah Winfrey.
Ah, okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, the material really connects her success to her ability to build these deep, authentic connections.
With her audience. Guests.
All of them. Audience, guests, her team, making people feel seen, heard, comfortable being vulnerable.
That feels right.
And the reading positions that as the absolute foundation of her whole media empire.
So relationships not just as an advantage, but as a core foundation for impact.
Yeah. Okay, so just to recap the material you shared, we've covered these 5 key habits.
All right. Clear goals and focus.
Consistent action and persistence.
Continuous learning and self-improvement.
Effective time management and prioritization.
And finally, building strong relationships.
And the big takeaway running through all the readings seems to be, these aren't just things you're born with, right?
Not at all. They're presented as disciplines, practices, things successful people actively work on consistently over time.
Requires dedication.
Absolutely.
So, based on everything we've unpacked from the material here, maybe take a second, listening to this. Which of these habits resonates most with you right now?
Or which one feels like the biggest challenge?
Yeah, or maybe which one you feel kind of inspired to focus on cultivating next, based on what you heard.
And maybe a final thought to chew on. The readings kind of lay these habits out individually, right?
Yeah, one by one.
But what happens, thinking about the themes in the material you gave us, what happens when you start weaving them together?
Ah, like the synergy between them.
Exactly. How might taking that consistent action actually fuel your continuous learning? Or how could those strong relationships help you stay focused on your goals when, life throws distractions at you?
Interesting.
What kind of potential for that fulfilling and sustainable life the sources talk about, what emerges when you combine these things? Something to think about, drawing from the material you provided for this deep dive.
Definitely something to think about. Thank you for giving us this fantastic material to dive into today.